I'm going to make a rich, hearty Irish stew. And what makes this an Irish stew? Well, this stout. This stout has a lovely deep body of flavour, and it's really going to flavour our stew. Now, I'm using some lamb for this. This is lamb shoulder, and you can see there's a little bit of fat here, which is what we want. Also some sinew. As this cooks low and slow, that fat and sinew goes from tough to meltingly tender. It almost becomes gelatinous-like. So we need to seal this off to get some flavour and some colour. So some olive oil into a heavy base casserole pot like this, and then in with our lamb. You can see I haven't cut it up into too smaller pieces. They're about 4 to 5 centimetre chunks. I want to keep the texture in this stew. Try not to overcrowd the pan because it's going to start stewing the meat. We don't want that to happen now. We want that to happen later on. What we want is some colour here. So just leave the meat, get a lovely crust, then flip it and get some more crust on there. I haven't added the flour yet. We're going to add that later on to thicken it up. This is a good trick that I've learned. See how that's stuck to the bottom of the pan? That's totally fine. It just means that we haven't got that crust yet. So just leave it be. Once it detaches easily, it's time to turn over. And don't forget to season it with a good pinch of salt. All right, the second batch of lamb is coming out. It's got a beautiful crust to it. And you can see all of this sediment that's on the bottom of the pan. That is just going to make us the most delicious sauce. Now we can add our onions, and we do want to cook off our onions so they get a little bit of colour too, because colour is going to give us that golden finish on the sauce. So I'm just going to give them a bit of a mix. If you're worried that your pan's going to burn, see how that's getting a little dark there? Don't worry, what I like to do is add a splash of water at this stage. What happens is it evaporates quite quickly, but it just protects your pan and just allows you the opportunity to scrape the bottom so nothing goes black, because you want caramelisation, you want those deep golden colours, you don't want to go black because that's going to give us a really bitter flavour. So by adding that splash of water, you see how everything's completely detached? All that water is evaporated, so it still allows them to go golden brown. So again, we're going to add some salt to this, a pinch of salt. I've just been picking some thyme. I want a good amount of thyme for this. I'm not adding lots of classic flavours to this stew. There's no celery, there's no carrots, there's no other herbs. I just want it to be quite dominant with the thyme, the stout, the lamb and the onion, so we really get the true flavour of this. So a good amount of thyme that I've chopped. As soon as that thyme hits the onions, it's just the best smell ever. Now I'm quite happy with those onions, so I'll add a teaspoon of tomato paste for that extra rich flavour. We'll just cook that off for a moment. I also like to add my flour now, so just plain flour. A tablespoon of the flour can go in, and this is going to really help thicken our sauce. So 1 tablespoon. Never add your flour in after you've added your liquid because you'll get that raw flavour. So always add it now and then toast it off. So we'll just give that a stir. It looks like it's going to be quite dry, but we're going to rehydrate this right away with our stout. So you need about 300 mils of stout. We'll pour that in. Just like any alcohol that you're using, you do want that to just bubble away for a moment just to cook off that alcohol. This is also another chance to just scrape the bottom of your casserole pan just to detach any of those caramelised bits, those delicious caramelised bits. That's looking fantastic. See how thick that is? That's really good. We'll add the rest of the liquid, which is about 500 mils of beef stock. You could also use chicken stock. Stir that through. We can return our lamb pieces. So we'll just pour that in with any of the juices that are in the bowl. Another little stir. You really want to make sure that all of that meat is submerged in the liquid. I like to add some freshly cracked pepper at this stage, just to ensure that this cooks low and slow and a lot of that moisture stays into the actual stew. I like to grab myself a piece of baking paper, and this is called a cartouche. So scrunch it up. I'm going to cover the stew with the baking paper just so it touches the liquid. By doing this, all of the moisture is going to stay in the stew as opposed to evaporating. So we'll also place the lid on and we'll turn it down, and that's gonna cook for 1.5 to 2 hours or until the meat is tender. Now, I'm not gonna serve this Irish stew with mashed potatoes, with champ, even pasta. I'm gonna do something slightly different. I'm gonna make some mustard scones. It works a treat. For the scones, you'll need some self-raising flour. So I'm using an all-purpose self-raising flour with some cream of tartar in it. This is fantastic because it's going to give us a beautiful crumb on our scones and a lovely lift because it has its raising agents already in it. So in with our self-raising flour. To that, I'll need 125 grams of unsalted butter. So we'll just cut that, and you want your butter to be fairly cold because you want to crumble this into the self-raising flour. So I'm going to cut it into cubes. About that size is good. We'll pop that in. And then just with your hands, you want to break up the butter. By doing this, we're not going to be overworking our flour. The whole idea with scones is less work is best, and we're just going to get a beautiful result. So don't use a mixer for this, use your hands, be patient with it, just press that butter in. See how I'm doing this motion of pressing it away? By doing this, we're really massaging all of that flour into the butter. So keep working that. Right, quite happy with that. You can see how it's slightly shaggy, it's just right. In with the cheese, I'm using some cheddar cheese, a good handful of freshly grated cheddar cheese. We'll just incorporate that. Some Dijon mustard, I love this because it does give it quite a nice savoury flavour. So a generous amount of that can go in. We'll just start mixing, then in with the buttermilk. The acidity with the buttermilk mixing in with that self-raising flour just gives the best results. So I don't want to mix this too much. We just want to slowly bring this together so we form a dough. When my auntie makes her famous scones, she actually uses a knife, so you can do that too. That just ensures that you're not overworking your dough. That looks good. I'm going to tip this out onto the bench. And then with our hands, just press everything together. It's feeling really good. Keep pressing it together. Then we're ready to just roll this out slightly. So press it into a large disc to start with. And then I've got a rolling pin that I'm just going to gently roll out. And just turn it over. And I want these to be quite high, so I won't go any thinner than that. That's looking good. I've got my tray lined with some baking paper. I've also got a pastry ring here. I'm going to place it into some more flour. This just makes it so much easier to cut our scones. So we'll cut our first one. See how it just pops out really easily, like that. You can see those layers already? That's a sign of a really good scone, and that's because we haven't pressed and kneaded it too much. So that goes onto our tray. I do like to brush this with some extra buttermilk just over the top, like so. You could also just use milk. Then I'm going to continue the process. I don't mind them touching each other because we can pull them apart at the end. So I'll continue doing this. These go into a hot oven for about 20 to 25 minutes. Scones have come out of the oven. They smell fantastic, super crispy on the top, and they're going to be fluffy. They're also still warm, so I want to serve these warm with our stunning stew. So I've turned that off. This also smells fantastic. The baking paper can come off now. You can see it's really done its job. You can see that there's loads and loads of sauce in this. And the meat, you know that the meat is ready when you can just get the back of a butter knife just like this and just look at that. It just falls away. It's meltingly tender, just right. I'm going to serve a generous portion into a shallow bowl like this. You can see how many onions are there and that deep colour because we caramelised everything off quite nicely and we added that stout. It smells great. The sauce is the most beautiful consistency with the addition of that flour. Okay. To finish this off, a sprinkling of chives just over the top, some freshly cracked pepper, and one of our beautiful scones. Now, I want to break into one of these and just show you how stunning they are. Look at that. Fluffy, light, perfectly cooked. They smell so good. You can smell the mustard and the cheese. And you can't have a scone like this without lashings of butter. So butter on each side. And that's just going to melt away. And this is what it's all about, placing these scones in the actual gravy of the lamb stew. And I just think this is a fantastic way to serve your stew instead of mashed potato or the pasta, and have a spoon at the ready just so you can drizzle that gravy on that warm scone and have a taste. I love this dish. If anything, make these scones because they are exceptional. Fluffy on the inside, super flaky on the outside. They're just the best. And this sauce, match made in heaven.